Hi everybody, welcome to the dungeon. My name is Robin and today is Lampworking 101.77. I thought I would play with a little bit of silver foil today. I love working with the silver and I always make sure I have some at the ready. Today I wanted to share with you guys a really super easy and fun way of getting the silver to stick to a very specific pattern. It just gives it a beautiful highlighted effect. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And I hope you're all doing safe and well out there. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time in the dungeon. All right, I have decided to use some more kind of subtle colors on this bead. Not so much really bright. I guess they would be earthy tones. And I'm going to start out by using just the ivory. It is not the dark ivory, it's just a regular ivory from Effetri. And I want to make a long bead. I want to make a big bead. But first, in order to get it big, we need to start out with the length. And the core of this bead, I want it to be really, really thin. So I'm just gently taking my time and adding my footprints right next to each other until I get to the length that I want. And I was determined this week to use the lentil mold or the lentil press that I have. So I'm just kind of eyeing it right now, and I want to check just real quick here to make sure it's going to fit right. And I'm just going to heat this up and roll it out. I think maybe I could have used a different, well, you can use any color you want for any of this bead, but I tend to be really hard on myself when it comes to like color choices. So I'll spend a lot of time just like looking at my color going, what am I gonna do? So on top of this, what I wanna do is a thread wrap. And a thread wrap is grabbing some glass and just touching and rolling like crazy. Just lifting that up until the glass becomes a thread, and you can just like thread it all up and down your bead. And it's a really, really cool little trick to know. I will highlight this in an upcoming video so we can really talk about it. So I'm just gonna, the color that I'm using here is, it's this funky color from, Double Helix. And I am still trying to figure it out. Anyway, we're gonna cover this up with a thin layer of clear. And if you haven't done any, I had to take the tip off there because anytime you were going to coat your bead with a clear or anything like that, you want to make sure that the cut end is taken off. And here, what I'm just going to do in order to get the glass on is to heat up a nice ball of clear, and I keep the glass in the flame while I move the bead across it. So you notice the glass rod doesn't move, it's the bead that moves. So that might help you to learn how to, I don't know why I'm at a loss for words here, to cover your bead up with the clear. Anyway, let's move on. I'm just gonna add one more there. Encasement, that's the word, encasement. Thank you. I feel like you were all thinking about that, telling me, encasement, Robin, encasement. Okay, so once we've done encasing, I am going to start to heat the bead up from one side to another. I want it to be really nice and smooth. So I kind of work from the left side, roll it out, and then I'll work on the right side a little bit. And since the left side is a little cooler, I can use that as a guide to help roll the rest of the bead out. It's a little funky on the end there, but I'm not worried about that because I know I'm going to go into a bead press later and everything just tends to work itself out. So the shape that I'm going for here is a really straight barrel-shaped bead. And now we're going to put on the pattern, and I'm using transparent red from Effetri, just straight up transparent red stringer. And what I'm going to do here, you can make this any pattern you want. I'm just going to do some wiggle patterns here and there. And I have each kind of wiggly line touching each other, so it kind of forms like a strange kind of cage around the bead. But you can add dots, you can add lines, you can do any pattern that you want to. You just want to make sure that when you're done adding all your stringer work, that it is still raised up from the bead itself. That's going to be important here when we do our roll up. So I'm just trying to fill in as much as I can. I don't want too many open spaces, or the silver foil can easily push down in between those spaces, and you might not want that. Okay, I'm going to switch my torch to a slightly larger and just gently heat up the pattern. And I have my silver foil, I have my one sheet cut in half, and it is laying right here, and I am just going to gently roll it up. And before I put anything in the flame, I want to make sure that I burnish it down just a little bit. I don't want to really push hard here. I'm using the back end of my knife because it has kind of a curve to it, and that helps. But I'm just gently kind of pushing everything down. And then you go into the flame, and it will burn off all of the silver that's not touching anything, leaving it just stuck to your pattern. And it looks so awesome. I just love this, you guys. I'm really happy that I can share this. I have to tell you, I made several of these, probably about 8 of these, and they're all substantial beads. Look at that. I just love the way that looks. Okay, so we are going to heat that all in. Yeah, I did. I made a lot of beads, and they all looked really cool. But this one, the reason why I chose this one to show you guys is because the roll-up came out really nice. It just hit the high. It just highlights everything, and it looks really great on this red transparent too. And it's a great alternative to doing like a silver stringer. I'm going to show you this real quick. You can stop right here if you want to. It just looks awesome. But knowing me, I'm just going to keep going. I want to encase the whole thing in clear again. In fact, we're going to do 2 encasements of clear, now that I know the word. So again, this little bit right here is in real time, and you can see I'm just very gently heating a ball of glass hot. And because I'm going right on top of a pattern, I want to make sure the bead is really cool underneath. And the bead doesn't ever go into the flame when I'm drawing the glass on like this. So if you haven't ever done encasement, this is a really good way to start. It's just to have a barrel-shaped bead and to get those little gathers of glass hot and just run it down the bead, right? Kind of, you want to overlap each time. And then from here, because I want to add another layer, before I do that, I want to smooth everything down, and that will allow me to trap the least amount of bubbles. I like to use that graphite pad. It really helps out, especially because I'm filming and the editing is a lot easier when I have my little graphite block right there. I'm adding a little bit of clear to the end here so the color doesn't wick up on me. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm just heating that very end, and I am trying to push that little bit of clear down closer to the mandrel. And then right before I start my second encasement, I flip the whole bead around, and that will give me the most even coating of clear. And you can see how that pattern is becoming raised up. So it looks like after we press it down, it'll look like it's kind of curling around the inside color. And if you look at the bead at the very end, you'll notice that the double helix really didn't do much for the bead on here. So I probably could have used something different, but it still looks great either way. I am my own worst critic, so I'm always looking at these beads, just kind of, silently tearing them apart in my mind. Okay, so I'm gonna roll it. I'm pre-rolling this into the lentil mold or the lentil press. And this will help to kind of pull everything into the round that I'm looking for, especially when it comes to the edges. So instead of a sharp, crisp edge, it's going into more of a tapered edge here. And I'm gonna press this down, but I know that I don't have quite enough glass to completely fill the mold. So it's gonna be a little smaller, but you can still, use the mold. You don't have to fill it all the way every time you use it. So I just am going for a kind of a thinner, not so much of a round lentil shape. You'll see. Okay, so I'm getting the whole bead nice and hot, and I'm gonna go ahead and press right here with my little shaky hands there. And the bottom kind of overpressed a bit, and if that happens to you, don't worry too much. Just go ahead and gently heat it back in. It'll be fine. And here, I do want to press it one more time, but I am just kind of fire polishing everything and heating it up one more time to go into the press. I just love the way this looks, you guys. Really pretty. And here at the end, all we're gonna do is give it a really good fire polish. It does take time to fire polish. You wanna make sure that all of those chill marks are totally gone on the surface. And that's it for our silver roll-up. I hope you all enjoyed, and give it a try if you haven't already. And on that note, we will see you all next time in the dungeon.